Welcome back to page 121. Well, with all the Vecna excitement that's been floating around for the last few months, I thought I'd come in a little late to the game, but come in with something I haven't seen anybody really talk about. And that's the outstanding graphic novel Vecna, Hand of the Revenant from 2002. This gives us Vecna's origin, how he started out, and kind of how he ends up. Unfortunately, it's part one of a two-parter that was never produced. But this is still, I'll move my hand out of the way. This is still a beautiful uh, piece of work, a beautiful graphic novel. And I'm going to go ahead and take a look today. Fair warning, there are spoilers. I'm going to be showing the entire graphic novel, so there will be spoilers in here. If you want to read the graphic novel yourself, I recommend you don't stay with the video. I am going to show the whole thing. It's beautifully painted. It's a gorgeous production. I don't know why the second part was never produced. I haven't been able to find anything. But for today on page 121, a look at Vecna, Hand of the Revenant. Before I go into the graphic novel, I want to show where I feel the Vecna's Kingdom was. And this is based on research I've done over the years and just where I like to place it. And that is in the Kingdom of Keoland, in the Sheldamar Valley. I've done a little bit of adventuring here and there over the years in the Sheldamar Valley. It's never been a main focus for my campaign, but it is for a lot of others. So just for whatever that's worth, that's where I placed Vecna's Kingdom in my Greyhawk universe. Okay, Vecna, Hand of the Revenant. Before we get into this, I want to pitch one more time for subscribers. Still looking to grow the channel, so if you haven't subscribed, please do. Also, one more warning. There are going to be spoilers. I'm going to be showing you the whole thing of this beautiful graphic novel. This graphic novel was out in 2002 by Iron Hand Graphics. Beautifully rendered. Here we get a gorgeous scripted area telling us where this came from. It's a story about Vecna himself, and it tells us his origin. We begin with Vecna besieging a city called Fleeth, Fleeth, and it's a city of shining light dedicated to Foltest. And Vecna has had his armies attacking it, trying to destroy it for whatever reason. The people of Fleeth don't understand why Vecna hates them so. The story goes on to reveal it. Just beautifully printed. We get to meet Kaz. There's Kaz the Bloody-Handed. He of the Sword of Kaz. There is the Sword of Kaz, as crafted by Vecna. We meet Kaz. We take a look at the Siege of Fleeth. This reads like a really well done Conan the Barbarian. It's a fun read. It's very well scripted. It's just beautiful. So here we have Kaz commanding the troops, and then he goes to Vecna's pavilion, and there we have the big guy himself sitting on the spider throne, the Whispered One. He is an acolyte of the spider, an ancient creature of magic who has talked to and maybe tainted mortals on Earth for generations. We find out as the story grows that Fleeth was the home to Vecna when he was a kid, 900 years before our story starts. But here we go. We're having everybody, the siege is going on, the clerics of Foltest are coming out, withstanding it, but most of them are in here enacting a ritual that they feel will ultimately protect them. The captain of the guard wants none of it. He wants the priests on the wall to help fight Vecna's magic. And then we go into a flashback with Vecna as a boy and his mother, Mazel, Mazzel, and we learn about their lives in the city of Fleeth. They are looked down upon because they are the handlers of the dead. They are embalmers. We find out right here that Fleeth only allows our divine magic to be practiced within its walls. The clerics can have all the magic they want, but no arcane magic may be practiced here. Vecna and his mother are shunned. They are handlers of the dead. So they are shunned by society, by people. Vecna has no friend other than his mother, who has been schooling him in the arcane arts. So here we go. So we go back from the flashback. Now we come back to the siege. We're beginning to understand what it is that Vecna hates about his former home. We're finding out as the siege continues. We get more on the siege. We get the priests unwilling to help at the walls. They're working on an important ritual. And Vecna's various strategies to overcome the defenses. As the siege continues, we find out that Vecna, under cover and illusion, has gotten a siege tower right up to the walls, and the siege tower is loaded with undead, specifically ghouls. Really cool idea. I've used that in my game since then. And then we have more of the siege itself. And then Vecna's plan to breach the wall and teleport Kaz into the city. That's ultimately what he wants to do. The priests have erected a shield of light, but that shield is waning with the moons changing. And the priests say, "Ha, they played into our hands." And they detonate the shield and blast Vecna himself, nearly killing him. At this point, we find out that Vecna is served by a Cambion wizard named Acererak, who Vecna has really not even noticed to this point, but Acererak has the wisdom to put Vecna back in his throne, and that, of course, starts the healing of his undead form. Acererak gets praise, and he's told, "Hey, maybe we'll hear of you someday. Maybe you'll build, I don't know, some tomb filled with horrors or something." So then we go back to a flashback inspired by the spider, where Vecna again is thinking about his boyhood and the fate of he and his mother in the city of Fleeth. Here they're practicing raising someone from the dead, and then they have to destroy him. Meanwhile, in other parts of the city, a problem. The princess has a problem, and the queen is not happy. The princess is due to be married in just a few months, and this problem must be resolved. One of the chambermaids says, "Well, I know someone that can possibly help with this problem, and she'll be able to give a potion that will help to take care of the problem, and then the marriage can still go forward." The queen says, "Yeah, let's do it." So the chambermaid approaches Vecna's mom, and she says, "Here you go. Here's some money. Do you have a potion that'll help the princess's situation?" She says, "Yes, but it's very dangerous. You have to only give it exactly as instructed. Do not exceed the dosage or something bad will happen." She says, "Sure." She gives it to the queen, tells the queen the same thing. The queen says, "Okay." And then, oh my goodness, the betrothed is there and wants to meet his bride. He's told she's ill. He says, "Well, the marriage may be off if she's ill. I can't marry a sickly woman." So the queen says, yeah, just a second." Tells the chambermaid to up the dosage because, a little bit of medicine is good, so a lot more is a lot better, right? Except, no, it doesn't work that way. And the princess is dead. That destroys the union to be, and the queen, not recognizing her own ignorance in the situation, blames Vecna's mom and decides, "Well, you killed my kid, I'll kill yours along with you." So Vecna and his mother are to be burned. And mom says, "Enough for this," and starts using some magics to get free. But my mom is ultimately taken down, tied to a stake, and burned. The serpent coming to devour her, because that's what the serpent does. Vecna, for his part, has run. He's gone to a secret tablet his mother has told him about, and uses the tablet to spirit himself away beyond the clutches of the bad guys. It's there that he meets the serpent for the first time in a very Stonehenge-looking area, which I love. And then we fast forward to Vecna healing up and being back today, having lost his left eye and apparently one of his hands. That differs a little bit from the old Dungeon Master story where he loses the eye and hand in battle with Kaz once Kaz betrays him. So we're back here. We've got the shield back up. The priests are doing good. And the priests allow one of their men in, and, okay, we're going to continue going. And then, surprise, it's really Kaz the Bloody-Handed in amongst the priests. And it ends with, "Shall we begin?" This obviously cliffhanger was intended as its second part, where we would have seen Kaz turn on Vecna. But we didn't get to see that, unfortunately. I don't know why. I don't know if it's poor sales or if it's something that didn't happen. The author is Madi Thorson, who did a phenomenal job with this, and the artist is Kevin McCann, who painted this. It's just gorgeous. This was something I was lucky to find in 2002. The minute I saw it, I bought it off the shelves. I think it was $9.95. But it was not something I saw in a lot of places, so I don't know if it was poor sales that led to limited distribution or limited distribution that led to poor sales. I don't know. I just know that for whatever reason, they never went forward with the next part of this. And it's a shame because this was beautiful. So guys, if you're listening, hey, we'd be interested in seeing part 2, even if you wanted to reissue part 1 and then part 2. But I thought this was a nice origin for Vecna. I liked all of it. I like it completely. Vecna has always played a part in my campaign going back to 1980. We've had the various body parts of Vecna pop up here and there. You, of course, probably have read online the head of Vecna scenario. That was not me. I did not DM that. But in order to use the hand of Vecna, for instance, you must cut off your own hand and then attach the hand to the stump, and then the hand activates and you go. Well, some ingenious DM introduced the head of Vecna, convinced his players that anyone who had the head of Vecna would gain all of Vecna's knowledge. The party starts fighting over the head of Vecna. Who will have the privilege of having their head chopped off in order to gain the head of Vecna? And the party fell to infighting. A couple of guys did successfully get their heads cut off, but the head didn't animate them. It turned out the head of Vecna was nothing but a spoof on the DM's part. If you type in head of Vecna, you can find the full story. This is not original to me. It's something I read on the internet and I found hysterical. So there we have it. Vecna, Hand of the Revenant. I hope you enjoyed this look at it. I love this graphic novel. I wish they'd come out with part 2. So guys, if you're listening, please, part 2 would be wonderful. And we would pay for both again. So even though I have this one, I would buy it all over again. So, and one other note I have to make is obviously in 2002, this was out during D&D 3rd edition, but that makes no difference to the storytelling whatsoever. So that's it for today on page 121. I hope you liked what you heard and saw. Please remember the subscriptions. Please remember the Patreon. And I'll see you next time on page 121.